Super Bowl Sunday, a day that has the feeling of a special holiday, and Super Bowl 58 will be played out between the 49ers and the Chiefs in just a couple of hours. A rematch, by the way, of Super Bowl 54. Not that our picks from last week really matter that much, but because we've done it every single week, we did have a 2-0 record for our championship weekend picks, bringing our playoff record to 7-5. So let's get the matchup out of the way. There is in fact an away and a home team in the Super Bowl, and in this matchup, it is the 49ers at the Chiefs. So obviously, because there's only one game to pick this week, there's a little more time for analysis, and I first considered breaking the teams down by position groups and ranking them that way. Ranking, the quarterbacks, the running backs, the receivers, O-line, D-line, all that stuff. And then I decided against it, frankly, because of the result of last year's Super Bowl. If we had done that for the Chiefs and the Eagles, in almost every position other than quarterback and maybe linebackers, I think we would have picked the Eagles in just about every spot. And yet, the quarterback was the difference in that game. Patrick Mahomes made the difference. So it felt like a pointless exercise to do that. So instead, we're going to do kind of our normal breakdown and then a little bit of additional stuff. So I do want to talk about the injuries because the Chiefs do have a couple of significant ones. Charles Omenihu, he tore his ACL in the AFC Championship game. Obviously, he is out. That's a big deal. And then Joe Thuney looks like he's going to miss the game as well. There's a chance Jet McKinnon comes back. He's a game-time decision. And also, it does look like Kadarius Toney will not be playing in the game. The Niners, on the other hand, are coming into this one seemingly at full strength, which, it does suck. The Chiefs have a couple of injuries, but both teams largely healthy. That's what you want to see in this matchup. So a couple of things. In the Andy Reid and Kyle Shanahan eras as head coaches of these teams, the Chiefs are 3-0 against the Niners, and obviously that does include the Super Bowl 54 victory where they won 31-20. The difference though, Brock Purdy, I think indisputably at this point, is the best quarterback Shanahan has had since taking over in San Fran. They're 24-6 together, including the playoffs, and really 24-5 if we ignore the NFC Championship game where he tore his UCL. And just for fun, Brock Purdy's winning percentage, including that NFC Championship game, is 80%. Mahomes' winning percentage at 88-25, including playoffs, is 78%. Now, I'm not trying to make a comparison. There's an obvious sample size difference here. All I'm saying is, both these guys win a lot. Like 4 out of 5 games is really impressive. Whether it's over, 113 games for Mahomes or now 30 games for Brock Purdy. So what I want to look at are two things. Number one, how each team got here, because I think how they've played recently does matter. And then of course, as we've done for every playoff matchup this year, the recipe for victory for each team today. So we'll start with the 49ers. We all know by now, they were the NFC's number 1 seed. They had a first round bye and therefore did not have to play in the wildcard round. In the divisional round, they survived the 7 seed Packers, despite arguably being outplayed, and they did so with a 10-0 fourth quarter effort. Now it is worth noting, even though the Packers were a 7 seed, they thoroughly outplayed the Cowboys the week before, and I think they were better than a 7 seed team. They really got hot at the end of the year. Then in the championship game, obviously, they barely squeaked by the 3 seed Lions with a 17-point second half comeback. Inarguably this time, they were outplayed. Major gas by the Lions players and coaching staff that those decisions that, going forward on 4th down, the Niners were able to take advantage of that stuff to get the win. And I'm not saying this to belittle the 49ers' accomplishments. I'm actually saying this, quite frankly, for the opposite reason. Those 2 wins go exactly against the narrative for this team. They found a way, aided by their opponent's failures or not, to win games in which they were trailing big in the second half. That's a confidence booster and a morale builder for a team that, for years really at this point, weren't able to win these types of games. That could be huge in this game, especially against a team led by Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes. They're going to score points. If they get behind in this, they know it's not just over immediately. Now for the Chiefs. They were the number 3 seed in the AFC this year. They dominated Miami in a frigid Arrowhead Stadium in the wildcard round. It's no small feat to beat a team and a quality opponent at that twice in the same season. A Miami team come up to frigid weather like that, they definitely benefited, but a big win 26-7, that was a statement win in the wildcard round. They then traveled to Buffalo and beat the favored Bills in a true team win. The offense looked probably better than they have all season long, and the defense did just enough to keep the Bills at bay. Then, for the AFC Championship game, they traveled to the #1 seeded Baltimore Ravens, and they really won that game with a truly stifling effort, both offense and defense combined. It was long sustained drives on offense and relentless defense. They didn't let the Ravens establish the run game, they really pressured them to pass, and that was a perfect recipe to get the win. They outplayed and outcoached the Ravens, quite frankly. The game plan going in, the execution, it was really impressive against a team that, they had been dominating. Good teams the whole year. They really, especially at home, were juggernauts. And the Chiefs, I would even say, made short work of them. It never felt as competitive even as the scoreboard made it seem. In that way, though, they also proved this season's narratives wrong. They do, in fact, have enough weapons on offense, especially when combined with their defense, to win in the playoffs. And here they are yet again, playing in the Super Bowl for the 4th season out of the last 5. And they've also got the ability to win in several different ways. They can play as frontrunners. We've seen them do it a couple of times this year. And they can play from behind, like in the Buffalo game. That's a comforting factor no matter what the situation this team find themselves in. They know they can get it done. They've done it so many times now. Nothing is going to catch them off guard. Nothing is going to throw them off, because they've seen and done so much as a team, not only this year, but in the past 5-6 years. But that then brings us to the recipes to get the win. And we'll flip and start with the Chiefs this time. I just said they can win in many fashions, but I think their best case scenario is to attack the 49ers very similarly to how they attacked the Ravens. Sustained drives on offense. Try to build a lead, test the 49ers run defense. They have shown they can be run on, especially in the playoffs. If you can get Pacheco going, everything opens up. The 49ers play a lot of zone defense, and any good quarterback can pick zone apart. But if they've got the running game going too, play action passes, everything is going to just get much easier for the Chiefs offense, and I think that's the way they want to attack. Like I said, teams have run on them as of late. If you can squeeze their offense by limiting opportunities just like they did to the Ravens, make them one-dimensional in the process, let Steve Spagnuolo cook up those exotic blitzes that he just excels at, and just put pressure on Brock Purdy to consistently make the right read and quickly, all of that can be accomplished by those sustained drives on offense, whether it is through the run game, whether it's just taking what the defense gives you. They don't have to be the big play Chiefs that we've seen in the past. 4 and 5 yard passes, sprinkle in some 3 and 4 yard runs, long drives, make the 49ers feel the pressure to score points and to put the ball in the air. I think that is their best case scenario, but quite frankly, all else fails, rely on Mahomes. Just like Super Bowl 54 when they were down 10 with I think just 5 or 6 minutes to go. Put the ball in Mahomes' hands, let him work his magic, and he's gotten them out of more than a few jams over the last couple of years. So I like that they've got both options there, but I really think if they can attack the 49ers and execute like they did against the Ravens just 2 weeks ago in the AFC Championship game, they've got a great chance to bring home yet another Lombardi. Now, for the 49ers, it's funny because this could be very simple, but it's much easier said than done. And I realize I have said this for the last couple of games and they've won despite doing the opposite, but they have to start fast. When they're that team that has, Debo taking a screen for 60 yards and a touchdown, or McCaffrey running up the middle for 50-yard touchdowns, they've got George Kittle, they've got Juwan Jennings, they've got Brandon Ayuk, all these weapons, when they can dictate the flow of the game through their offense, they're just about as unbeatable as it gets in the NFL. But we haven't seen them do that since probably week 13 or somewhere around there. They just haven't been executing at the level that we're kind of used to seeing them do. I think they need to establish the run because, as I just said, the Chiefs are going to try to squeeze their offense and really put the game in Brock Purdy's hands. I think they need to establish the run and look to take calculated shots down the field with play action. I don't think they need to stubbornly commit to the run, though, if the Chiefs are going to overplay it. I just mentioned the screen passes to Debo and Ayuk and McCaffrey. Screen game and quick passes to these elite run-after-catch playmakers, that can be their de facto run game. So they got to be willing to adapt to the Chiefs' defensive game plan. I really think it's almost going to be like an either-or type of situation. Either the Chiefs overplay the run, basically in an effort to force the hand of Brock Purdy, and that opens up those screens and quick passes, or they kind of sit back, try to make sure they've got enough guys back to tackle and not allow those runs after catch. And if that's the case, they gotta win up front. They gotta get the run game going. Keeping the Chiefs off balance and not letting their defense dictate the flow of the game is huge for this team. And on defense, they need a plan for Kelce. Like I said, they play a lot of zone. Kelce is the master of finding the soft spots in zone coverage and just picking up chunks of yards. If they can take away Kelce as the outlet, rely on your great players to contend with the Chiefs receivers who have been suspect at times this season. You have to take away 87 though. If you're letting, 3rd and 7, 3rd and 9, 3rd and 10 plus get picked up because Kelce finds a soft spot in the zone and you're just too stubborn to either double cover him or, maybe come up with some exotic coverages that may put your outside guys in a one-on-one situation, you have to rely on them to win those battles. You're not going to win if you let Kelce slowly kill you over the middle. It's just not going to happen. They have to handle 87 if they want any chance of winning this game. So now, it's time to make the Super Bowl 58 pick. And I think when it all comes down to it, I am going to pick the Chiefs. I think they have more ways to win, and even though we have seen the 49ers come from behind in 2 straight games, no one doubts the Chiefs' ability to do that, and I also think the difference in those come-from-behind wins for the 49ers, and a lot of big come-from-behind wins in the NFL generally, they're as much a product of the 49ers executing and doing everything right and also not panicking as the opponent panicking and doing a lot of things wrong. Going forward on 4th down, missing field goals, those types of things that have happened to the 49ers opponents, I don't see it happening to this Chiefs team. Not only do they have a great kicker in Harrison Butker, when was the last time you remember Andy Reid mishandling a game from a coaching perspective? Whether it's, timeouts or anything like that. He is a fantastic game manager in terms of coaching, and I think that's going to be yet another major factor here. But in the end of the day, they've just been the better team on the field all throughout the playoffs. I mean, to go into Buffalo and beat the favored Bills, to go into Baltimore and beat the number 1 seed Ravens and really handle them, that's just really impressive, and the 49ers haven't. I think you can make the argument they've been the worst team on the field for both of their playoff games, but yet they're here. Can't take that away from them. Frankly, Mahomes and Andy Reid have proven it. Betting against them rarely works out. I did it once in the playoffs with that Bills game. I won't be doing it again. I have to pick the Chiefs to win their 4th Super Bowl. And, really, you have to start to look at the Mount Rushmore of coaches and quarterbacks. These guys are very quickly moving up the list, if not already on it. So, that is going to do it for this video. I will note there's going to be one more video in terms of picks and stuff, probably next week. I just want to kind of review everything. There actually has been a point to me doing all these picks beyond just seeing what my record can be, and we'll get into that in that video. But, of course, I want to see in the comments below, who are you guys picking? Are you rocking with the Chiefs? Are you going with the 49ers? Who is hoisting the Lombardi? And what the heck? Let's pick a score and let's pick an MVP of this game. And of course, I want to see you guys' predictions for both score and MVP in the comments below as well. I think this could be really fun. So the 49ers are, as of the time of recording this video, 1.5 point favorites. So I'm going to go with not only the Chiefs winning, obviously, I've already picked that, but I like them to win, I think by a touchdown. I'm going to go 27-20. It just feels like they've played so incredibly well, and I think their defense can cause problems for the 49ers. It really comes down to tackling. If they can prevent those big yards after catch, I think the blitzes and the coverages and the stuff they're going to do, the wrinkles that no doubt Andy Reid also has for the offensive side of the ball, they always come up with stuff in the Super Bowl that no one has seen all year or since week 1, as was the case last season. I think they get the win by 7 points. Now, picking an MVP. If I'm picking the Chiefs to win, Patrick Mahomes is the most obvious MVP pick, obviously. I'm going to go with Travis Kelce because of the media attention and all that sort of stuff. I think that can influence voters a little bit. Let's say he has, 8 catches on 9 targets, 110 yards, and 2 touchdowns. I think that could get him the MVP. As much because all the media attention and everything else as the performance. But we have seen in these last couple of games with Patrick Mahomes, he's not throwing for 350 and 4 touchdowns like he has in the past. He's taking what the defense gives him, and he's playing safe, smart football, and that is why they're even in this game in the first place. I think if Mahomes is at, 280 or something like that, and that's Travis Kelce's stat line, I think Kelce wins MVP. I'm picking it that way because it feels lame to just pick the quarterback. Let's pick a non-quarterback as the MVP. So that is going to do it for this video. Let me know what you guys have in the comments below. Picks, score, MVP, I think it's going to be a lot of fun. As always, thank you guys for watching. Enjoy the final game of the 2023-2024 season, Super Bowl 58. And I'll see you one more time to review everything next week.